Because we want people to understand that we are the true children of Israel. We want people to understand that we are the true children of Israel. The seed of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and the 12 tribes. We are them. Not those people claiming to be. Those people that can't prove anything. The ID card through the scriptures has been rejected. But ours is the only people on the face of the earth where we can go script on script on script and prove who we are. This is what it is, Israel. This is what it is. Verse 12. Romans 11, verse 12. Now with the fall of them be the riches of the world, and the diminishing them be the riches of the Gentiles, how much more their fullness. He's letting you know by them falling and by them being diminished, the riches of the Gentiles, how? Because in slave trade, all the riches and wealth of the entire earth was made on our labor. All the riches of the entire earth was made by Israelite labor. So the Most High is letting you know he ain't never forgot his people. They're just going through something right now because of chastisement. 13. For I speak to you Gentiles, inasmuch as I am an apostle of the Gentiles, I magnify mine office. If by any means I may provoke to emulation them which are my flesh, and might save some of them. For if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, casting them away, seemingly, be the salvation or reconciling of the world. Reconciling of the world. What shall the receiving of them be? But life from the dead. Whoa, they're coming back. And it's going to be life from the dead. Because the kingdom is coming. And the Most High is giving the lead role to the Israelites. For if the first fruit be holy, then the lump is holy. And if the root be holy, then so are the branches. So if there's no holy Israelites, then ain't nobody else getting in. That's what the script is saying. And if some of the branches be broken off, and thou being a wild olive, wert grafted in among them, and with them partakest of the root and the fatness of the olive tree, boast not against the branches. But if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee. You can't, telling the Gentiles, don't boast against the natural branches because you're allowed to come in. Because the natural branches are the Israelites. And if the Israelites can't get eternal salvation, then what hope do you? Because you're not even from that tree. And the covenant was given to that tree. This is scriptural. This is fact. And I will say, the branches were broken off that I might be grafted in. Well, because of unbelief they were broken off. And thou standest by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear. For if God spared not the natural branches, take heed, lest he also spare not thee. Letting them know, if ain't none of the Israelites getting in, y'all can count it done. Ain't none of y'all getting in. This is the word of the Most High. He ain't changed. Prophecy has to be fulfilled. Prophecy has to be fulfilled. The Most High's word will never come back null or void. Israel is still his people. John 3:16 does not take Israel out the picture. John 3:16 is just saying that whosoever will obey the Most High, dedicate their lives to obedience and keeping of his laws, statutes, and commandments, can be welcome into his kingdom. Because you're already practicing obedience. In order to be in the kingdom, you have to understand what being under the king's domain is. That's what a kingdom is. A king's domain. But he has never replaced his people. He has never replaced his people. Nor will he ever replace his people. Okay, we're going to go to Isaiah 14. I'm showing you what the Gentiles' roles is. Because I know a lot of people don't want to believe this. This hurts a lot of feelings, but get over yourself. A lot of y'all think too much of yourself anyway. Where we at? All right, before we go to Isaiah, we're going to go to Romans 9. I'm going to prove to y'all again out of the scriptures. Christ came for his people. And these were the people, and they're never going to change. Romans 9, verse 1. I say the truth in Christ. This is Paul. I lie not. I lie not. I'm not lying. My conscience also bearing me witness in the Holy Ghost. I'm not lying. That I have great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart. Why is he sorrow? For I could wish that myself For I could wish that myself were cursed from Christ for my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh, who are Israelites. This is Paul. To whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants, plural, both covenants, old and new, to Israel. And giving of the law and the service of God and the promises. Who are the fathers? The Father owns them. They're his. They're his people. And of whom, as concerning the flesh, Christ came. Oh, who Christ come for? Israelites. Who is over all, God blessed forever. Amen. Just want y'all to understand a clear perception of this. We got twisting scriptures. We're reading the Bible. That's Romans 9, verses 1 through 5. Read it for yourself. Read it. So you can get proper understanding, because the Most High is not an author of confusion. Everything has to come into understanding, because it has to be perfection. The Most High is perfect in all his ways, and his word will not become void. It will not nullify itself. It's the truth. But we've been so used to being one line to and lied to that we don't even know what the truth is. That's why it's our time to be due diligent. It's our time to be diligent. And do due diligence and study and read for yourself and ask the Most High to give you proper understanding. Isaiah 14, verse 1. For the Lord will have mercy upon Jacob and will yet choose Israel. Will still choose Israel in the end. This is the end days. And set them in their own land. We all know that's when the Most High is going to set the Israelites back in their land. Revelation talks about it also. When he sets them in their own land, Ezekiel. And the strangers shall be joined with them. Those are the other nations. The strangers are going to be joined with them. I told you that some of the other nations are going to be allowed to enter into the kingdom. But they're going to have a role. Listen to their role. The strangers shall be joined with them. And they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. They're going to cleave to the house of Jacob. Just like we cleave to the strangers right now. If we want water, we got to go to the strangers. If we want food, we got to go to the strangers. If we want raiment, we got to go to the... We don't own a water company. We don't own any textile industries, any textile companies to make clothing. We don't own any agriculture. We don't even own any farms. They wouldn't even let us farm when we came out of slavery. They had a share called sharecropping. We weren't even allowed to own anything like that because they understood that this is their kingdom and we cannot rule. We cannot own in their kingdom. Where the same thing is in our kingdom. The stranger shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them. Possess. Ownership. In the land of the Lord. What's the land of the Lord? Israel. For servants and handmaids. Whoa! I didn't know the kingdom of heaven has servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were. And they shall rule over their oppressors. They're going to take them captives of the nations who captured them. And they're going to rule over the people of the descendants of the people who ruled over them. This is what the scripture says. Verse 3. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, from thy fear, and from the hard bondage. Hard bondage. Hard slavery. Wherein thou wast made to serve. How are we going to get around that? There's a position and a role for the Gentiles. You can get in the kingdom, but they're going in as servants and handmaids. You ain't ruling nothing. This is the script. This is the biblical scriptures. This is John 3:16. For Yah so loved the world. Yeah, he loved the world. First he came for his people. He came for his people. But then he allowed his people to go And if any other would listen, they can come into the covenant, but they got to come in their role. They got to come in the role of a servant and a handmaid. Okay, we're going to go to, no, before we go to Revelation, we're going to go to, let's go to Acts 10. We're going to Acts 10. We get a crystal clear. Acts 10, 9 through 36. Let's explain. We're going to get deep. Before we go to Acts 10, let's go to Matthew. Let's go to Matthew 28. Go to Matthew 28. And Matthew 28, we're going to start at verse 18. Matthew 28, verse 18. Here we go. And Jesus came and spake unto them, saying, all power is given unto me in heaven and earth. This is when he's leaving, after he's resurrected from the dead. Go ye therefore and teach all nations. All nations mean all nationalities. We got to learn definitions too, people. Nations derive nation is, have the same prefix as the word nationality, nation, which means ethnic, ethno, people. Nation means ethno in the Greek, people, different ethnicities. All nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I command you. And lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. So he's saying, go into all the other nations. Now first seek out the Israelites. But if someone else want to come in, you can't deny them, long as they're willing to obey the law, statutes, and commandments. Let's prove that. Acts 10, 9 through 36. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. Acts 10, 9 through 36. We're going to do a lot of reading this time, y'all, because I don't want to talk too much because a lot of reading. Acts 10, verses 9 through 36. And here we go. On the morrow, as they went on their journey and drew nigh unto the city, Peter went up on the housetop to pray about the 6th hour. And he became very hungry and would have eaten, but while they made ready, he fell into a trance. Peter, and saw heaven open, and a certain vessel descending unto him, as it had been a great sheet knit at 4 corners, and let down to the earth, wherein were all manner of 4-footed beasts of the earth, and wild beasts, and creeping things, and fowls of the air, birds of the air. And there came a voice to him, Rise, Peter, kill and eat. But Peter said, Not so, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean. Because these were unclean animals, and Peter knew the law, the Levitical laws in Leviticus 11, where we're not supposed to eat these things. We have to eat according to the dietary law. And the voice spake again, verse 15, and the voice spake again unto him, again the second time, What Yah has cleansed, that call not thou common. Now see, this is where the church twists and says, now you eat anything that's unclean. It's not talking about this. This is an allegory. This is a comparison showing him how to compare unclean food to unclean people. Because at that time, the Gentiles were considered unclean because they did not follow the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But he's letting them know, if we keep reading, you're going to see, he's going to let them know that if the Gentiles are willing to get down with the obedience of the law, statutes, and commandments of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we have to let them in. It has nothing to do with eating pork, because you're still not allowed to eat pork. This does not give you a cop-out to eat pork. Remember that. Don't let your pastor trick you into thinking that you can eat pork. Isaiah 66 says if you come back and he keeps you eating that swine, he's going to consume you. Here we go. 15. And the voice spake unto him again a second time, What Yah has cleansed, that call not thou common. Verse 16. This was done thrice, and the vessel was received up again into heaven. So it was received into heaven. That's letting Peter know you ain't going to eat this. This is an allegory. You're not eating this. If it was for him to eat, he would have to have eaten it. But he didn't. It went back up into heaven. Let's read verse 17. Now while Peter doubted in himself what this vision which he had seen should mean, behold, the men which were sent from Cornelius had made inquiry for Simon's house, and stood before the gate. Peter's name was Simon Peter. And he called and asked whether Simon, which was surnamed Peter, were lodged there. See, Simon, surname was Peter, his nickname was Peter. While Peter thought on the vision, the Spirit said unto him, Behold, 3 men seek thee. Arise therefore, and get thee down, and go with them, doubting nothing, for I have sent them. Then Peter went down to the men which were sent unto him from Cornelius, and said, Behold, I am he whom ye seek. What is the cause wherefore ye are come? And they said, Cornelius the centurion, a just man. Excuse me, people. And one that feareth Yah. A centurion. That's a Roman. And one that feareth Yah. And of good report among all the nation of the Jews, was warned from Yah by an holy angel to send for thee into his house, and to hear words of thee. Then called he them in, and lodged them. And on the morrow Peter went away with them, and certain brethren from Joppa accompanied him. And the morrow after they entered into Caesarea. And Cornelius waited for them, and had called together his kinsmen and near friends. And as Peter was coming in, Cornelius met him, and fell down at his feet, and worshipped him. But Peter took him up, saying, Stand up, I myself also am a man. And as he talked with him, he went in and found many that were come together. And he said unto them, Ye know how that it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew, or of Judah, to keep company, or to come unto one of another nation. See, like I said earlier, they don't deal with the other nations because the other nations were heathenistic. But this says that Cornelius was a just centurion, follower of the Most High. Let's keep reading. But God has showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean. Peter got the understanding now that the dream he had was about calling men common or unclean just because they come from another nation. He couldn't call them unclean if the Most High had called them. If they were willing to get down with the law, statutes, and commandments in obedience to the Most High, our Elohim, our God, then we have to accept them. I'm not saying trust them all, but I'm saying if they are truly willing, they can get into the kingdom. They just got a role they got to play. Centurion knew it. He bowed down. Peter lifted him up because Peter knew that only one gets the glory, and that's the Most High. But the centurion understood that he was beneath him, even though in the flesh, he's a centurion, a Roman guard. Okay. Verse 29. Therefore came I unto you without gainsaying. As soon as I was sent for, I asked therefore, for what intent ye have sent for me. Okay, 30. And Cornelius said, 4 days ago I was fasting until this hour. And at the 9th hour I prayed in my house, and behold, a man stood before me in bright clothing. Stood before a centurion. And said, Cornelius, thy prayer is heard, and thine alms are had in remembrance in the sight of God. Send therefore to Joppa, and call hither Simon, whose surname is Peter. He is lodged in the house of one Simon, a tanner by the seaside, who, when he cometh, shall speak unto thee. Immediately therefore I sent to thee, and thou hast well done that thou art come. And thou hast well done that thou art come. Now therefore are we all here present before God to hear all things that are commanded thee of God. So he wants to hear what Peter has to say that God told him. The centurion is submitting unto the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Then Peter opened his mouth and said, Of a truth I perceive that God is no respecter of persons, but in every nation he that feareth him and worketh righteousness is accepted with him. The word which God sent unto the children of Israel, preaching peace by Jesus Christ. He is Lord of all. Because he's the creator. He made everyone. So the Gentiles that are willing to get down with the law, statutes, and commandments, fearing him, and working his righteousness, they get in. They don't take Israel's spot, but they get in nonetheless. We cannot teach that they're not getting in. This is not the truth. This is why when you teach John 3:16 saying everybody gets in, that's a false doctrine. Or when you teach John 3:16 and saying only Israel gets in, that's a false doctrine. The truth of the matter is, the Most High has no respect of a person in judgment. Now the roles don't change, but everybody gets an opportunity to live eternally. Whether it's in the rulership role or whether it's in the service role. Nonetheless, you're in the kingdom. All right, we're going to sum this up. Revelation 21, verses 10 through 26. Revelation 21, 10 through 26. Second to last chapter in the scriptures. Revelation 21, verses 10. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God, having the glory of God. And her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as a crystal. And had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels. And the names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. On the gates to the city. Not the 12 tribes of the Christian church. The 12 tribes of the children of Israel in Revelation, the second to last chapter in the book. Verse 13. On the east, 3 gates. On the north, 3 gates. On the south, 3 gates. And on the west, 3 gates. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations. And in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb, Israelites. And he that talked with me had a golden reed to measure the city and the gates thereof, and the wall thereof, and the city lieth 4 and the length is as large as the breadth. And he measured the city with the reed 12,000 furlongs. The length and the breadth and the height of it are equal, 12,000 furlongs. And he measured the wall thereof 144 cubits, according to the measure of a man, that is, of the angel. And the building of the wall of it was of jasper, and the city was pure gold, like unto clear glass. This is elegance like we've never seen before. And the foundations of the wall of the city were garnished with all manner of precious stones. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, the third chalcedony, the fourth an emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the sixth sardius, the seventh crystolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth topaz, the 10th chrysoprase, the 11th a jacinth, and the 12th an amethyst. The 12 gates were 12 pearls. Every several gate was of 1 pearl. And the street of the city was pure gold, as it were transparent glass. And I saw no temple therein, for the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb, the Father and the Son, are the temple of it. And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon, to shine in it. For the glory of Yah did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. And the nations, here we go, the nations, Goyim in Hebrew, nations. This is talking about the other nations. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it. And the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. And the gates of it shall not be shut by day, for there shall be no night there. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it. So the nations will get into the kingdom. For all of their glory and honor is going to come and worship the Most High in the holy city. They're going to be there. They're going to have their own role. But they will not be in rulership anymore. The rulership will be given over to the people of the Most High. The Most High has promised that his people were a peculiar people above all the nations of the earth. And when his people get back into obedience, all the nations of the earth shall fear them. Because the Most High says so. They're going to fear them because they're going to be in rulership over them. Most High's word will never come back null or void. But as John 3:16 summed up as quickly as I could to get crystal clear understanding. John 3:16, first and foremost, is about obedience. It's about obedience to the Most High. He came for those that will be obedient. He came to his own people first. And then any other nation that want to get in, they can get in. They can get into the kingdom. Eternal bliss. But they got to get in where they fit in as a servant. And it's a glorious thing to be a servant in the kingdom than to be a king on this earth. Nonetheless, they're going to be servants. They ain't ruling nothing. Israel ruling it. May the Most High have a blessing to the reading of his word and his lesson. All praise to the Most High and his only begotten Son. Shalom, Israelites.
What it says in the book, I gotta give up the lifestyle, dreams in the hook. I gotta turn from my wrongs and give myself to you. Gotta spread your word with knowledge and truth. Can't let false teaching knock the word. Even though a new gospel has emerged, and it's all about blessings, heaven sent, and the power of man got the word straight.